Over a campfire. Chapter 6. Crack before the storm. Hannah. Mike's voice rang out. She turned and saw him jogging toward her, panting, a long branch in hand like a makeshift staff. You were supposed to go around the thicket, not through it, he scolded, his brows drawn tight. I thought it looped back, she snapped. I wasn't trying to get lost, okay? Mike sighed and ran a hand through his hair. You scared the crap out of me. Well, you didn't have to yell. I did have to yell because you wandered off like a baby deer. He jabbed the stick toward the path. Come on. I dragged this stupid branch in the dirt so we can find our way back faster. See? She looked down and saw the faint line he'd scratched into the earth. A messy trail snaking between the roots and stones, back toward the direction they'd come. Despite herself, Hannah smirked. That's actually kind of smart. Yeah, well, I have my moments, Mike muttered, leading the way. Let's just catch up before the teachers find out we pulled a disappearing act. As they walked in silence, weaving back toward the group, Hannah couldn't shake the heaviness settling in her chest. The trees still loomed tall around them, and though she wasn't alone anymore, the fright hadn't fully left her. Mom was right, she thought bitterly. She always is. A memory flashed, her mother's voice, crisp and certain as she folded a new set of hiking boots into Hannah's camp bag. It's not that I don't trust you, darling. It's that I don't trust the world. She had tried to hide her disapproval behind careful words and polite smiles, but Hannah had known. Her mother hadn't wanted her to come. And now, here she was, lost in the woods for real, just like all those cautionary lectures had warned. For a moment, shame stung deeper than the fear had. She imagined her mother's tight-lipped frown, her father's quiet disapproval. What if they found out? Would they pull her out of camp immediately? Would they say, I told you so? She rubbed the smooth surface of the stone still hidden in her pocket and kept her eyes on the ground. Mike, she said quietly. Yeah. Do you think it was stupid to come? Mike stopped walking and turned to her, blinking. What? No. What are you talking about? I got lost. I could have really messed up. My mom didn't even want me here in the first place. Her voice cracked slightly. Mike tilted his head, studying her. You didn't mess up. You wandered like 5 minutes tops. And I found you. That's what friends do. And anyway, he gave a small grin. Your mom's not the adventure expert. We are now. They followed the dragging mark through the underbrush, and sure enough, within minutes, the distant sound of Zoe, teasing Rory, and Gina laughing came into earshot again. As they stepped back into formation, Hannah gave Mike a sideways glance. Thanks for coming after me, she said quietly. He shrugged. Anytime, bubblehead. She rolled her eyes but smiled, and the strange stone in her pocket warmed slightly. When she rejoined the group, Darnell tossed her a granola bar. Thought we lost you to the bears. Hannah forced a smile. Just needed a moment. About 30 minutes into the hike, the group reached Point R, a flat clearing shaded by tall palm trees, their pale green leaves fluttering gently in the morning breeze. The crisp air still carried the scent of wet moss, and the distant sound of chirping birds echoed in the canopy above. Sunlight filtered through in speckled rays, dancing over the trail like moving gold coins. Students paused here, grateful for the break. Gina flopped dramatically onto a fallen log. Okay, that hike felt like 5 minutes. Are we cheating time? Ms. Blakely checked her clipboard. You're actually ahead of schedule, she said with a raised brow. That's rare. Enjoy it, because the next leg has a steeper incline. Zoe rolled his eyes. Of course it does. Can't let us feel accomplished for more than 10 seconds. Jason pointed toward a crooked tree near the path. Hey, that branch looks like a witch's finger. Mike snorted. If we see a black cat next, I'm turning back. You'll trip over your own feet before that happens, Zoe said with a smirk. Mia adjusted her glasses and took out her notebook. I think this is where the ferns from Ms. Rayner's biology slideshow grow. See those fronds with curled tips? Rory was already half off the trail, scanning the underbrush. Any sign of wild animals? Footprints? Scratch marks? Come on, give me something cool. Relax, Bear Grylls, Gina called out. We still have like what? 3 more markers? Let's not summon something with claws. Hannah stayed a bit quiet, but her eyes took in everything. The glistening bark, the way insects traced lazy circles over sun-warmed stones, the occasional rustle of wind through undergrowth. She was starting to love this trail. Hannah froze mid-step as the monitor lizard darted from the bushes across the trail. Ah, she shrieked, stumbling backward and landing hard on both knees with a sharp crunch of gravel. Ow, that hurt, she muttered through gritted teeth, lifting herself slightly with trembling arms. Her knees stung as blood began to bead and trickled down her shins. Darnell was the first to react. Hannah, you okay? He dropped beside her, eyes wide with concern. Don't move. You might have twisted something. I'm fine, she mumbled, trying to shake him off, but the pain shot up her legs when she moved. Stay still, Darnell said firmly. He opened his bottle and poured water over her knees, gently brushing away the dirt. This'll sting. It already does, Hannah replied, wincing. Darnell dug into his pocket and pulled out a crisp, folded handkerchief. I always carry one. You'd be surprised how often people scrape something around me. Really? You carry this on purpose? Hannah raised a brow as he tore it in half and began wrapping her wounds. It's a habit. Grandpa says every man needs a clean handkerchief and a calm head. That's unexpectedly sweet, she said softly. As Darnell tied off the last knot, Miss Jordan appeared, brisk but calm. What's going on? I heard a shout. She fell, scared by a monitor lizard. I cleaned the scrapes and bandaged them, Darnell explained. Miss Jordan examined the makeshift bandages. This is surprisingly well done, Darnell. Nice work. Hannah, we'll need to get these cleaned properly after the hike, okay? Hannah nodded, still flustered. Just then, Mike burst onto the scene, face red and panting. Hannah, are you? Wait. What the heck? He helped you, he said, glaring at Darnell. Darnell stood, brushing dirt off his palms. She fell. I helped. You weren't here. I was checking the map with the others. Mike snapped, stepping between them. You don't have to act like a hero every time something happens. I'm not acting. I was here, Darnell replied coolly. Yeah? Well, now I'm here, Mike said, turning to Hannah. Come on. I'll help you walk. Hannah started, caught between them. Let's go, Mike insisted, gently taking her hand. She relented and leaned on him for support, slowly rising. I was just trying to help, Darnell muttered under his breath, turning away. Next time, don't, Mike called after him. You okay? Mike asked more softly once they were a few steps ahead. I think so. Thanks, Mike, she said, glancing back once. Darnell had joined the rest of their group in silence, hands in his pockets. Just as Miss Collins was about to call for the next stretch of the trail, the wind began to shift. Leaves rustled harder this time, not with the gentleness of a morning breeze, but with the urgency of something brewing. The branches above them creaked, swaying against a sudden gust that sent a shiver down many spines. A low rumble of thunder rolled across the distant hills. Miss Blakely's whistle shrilled through the air. Everyone, group up. We're turning back. Now. The students stiffened as droplets began to speckle the dirt trail, darkening the dry earth with cold dots. Ms. Raynor's voice cut through the building wind. No running. Stay together. Single line. Let's move quickly, team. Gina grabbed Hannah's arm. Come on. We have to go. But Hannah, still nursing her scraped knees and now limping more noticeably, nodded weakly. I'm trying. The uneven terrain and loose gravel weren't helping. Each step stung. The rest of the group was moving faster, and even Gina looked torn between staying with her and not falling behind. Without a word, Darnell dropped his backpack to the side, bent his knees, and looked over his shoulder. All right, hop on. What? Hannah blinked. Piggyback. Come on, don't argue. I can walk. No, you can hobble. Huge difference. Darnell shot back, already grabbing her wrist. Up you go. Blushing, Hannah climbed on, holding his shoulders. He adjusted his footing and started trudging through the rising wind, her legs swinging behind him. You know, Darnell puffed, glancing back with a teasing grin. You're definitely heavier than what I thought. Hannah gasped in mock offense. Excuse me. Kidding. Mostly. Must be the power of camp food, he laughed. If you're going to drop me, I'll haunt you for the rest of your life, she said, half laughing, half serious. I deserve it, he huffed. But I'm a heroic figure now. I'll probably get a medal for this. The wind howled louder. Thunder cracked again, this time closer. Let's go, Miss Jordan shouted from up ahead, shielding her face from the rain beginning to fall. We're almost at the entrance. Keep moving. Behind them, Zoe and Jason sprinted past, arms over their heads. "Storm's coming," Jason yelled with drama, and I forgot my weatherproof sarcasm. Despite the rush and the crackling tension of the storm overhead, Hannah felt strangely safe. Her arms rested lightly on Darnell's shoulders, his steady steps grounding her even as the sky roared. The familiar wooden archway of Silver Pines Camp came into view, just as the sky rumbled ominously above. Their boots squelched against the damp earth, but spirits lifted at the sight of their cabins standing tall at the clearing's edge. "We made it," Gina gasped, breathless but triumphant, pulling Hannah into a half-hug. Mike raised his fist in the air like a champion crossing a finish line. "See? Told you we'd beat the rain." But nature had its own plans. No sooner had the last group reached the porch steps than a sharp crack of thunder split the sky. A second later, the heavens burst open in a torrential downpour. Sheets of rain hammered the roofs and turned the grassy clearing into a mosaic of puddles. The students crowded onto the wooden porch, laughing and gasping, some shaking water from their hair, others extending their hands out to feel the cold splash. "Looks like we're staying here for a bit," Lena murmured, mesmerized by the rain's rhythmic drumming. Her voice was nearly drowned out by the roar of water hitting the cabin eaves. Inside the sheltered porch, Hannah quietly leaned against a beam, her scraped knee stinging with every movement. A streak of mud ran from her shin to her sock, mixed with a thin trail of dried blood. Ms. Rayner noticed immediately. "Hannah, sit down, sweetheart," she said gently, setting her backpack down and unzipping it to pull out the bright red first aid kit. "I'm fine," Hannah mumbled, but her voice wavered slightly. Ms. Rayner gave her a warm, knowing smile. "I know you are, but brave girls need a bit of care too." She knelt in front of her and began cleaning the wound with practiced hands. Hannah flinched as the antiseptic met her skin, and Gina winced beside her. "Oof, that looks rough," Gina said sympathetically. "It's nothing," Hannah replied, forcing a smile, though her eyes flickered with a mix of pain and embarrassment. "It's not nothing," Ms. Rayner said kindly, applying a clean bandage. "You handled yourself really well out there. That hill wasn't easy." Outside, the storm raged on, but under the porch's wooden canopy, time slowed. The students watched the rain in silence, the earlier tension of the hike dissolving in the soothing rhythm of nature. In that quiet space, even the smallest gestures, like a cleaned wound and a comforting word, seemed to matter more than ever. The adrenaline from the hike hadn't worn off just yet, and their voices buzzed with excitement as they replayed every steep slope, every near slip, and every laugh along the trail. "Did you guys see Mia nearly faceplant into that bush?" Zoe laughed, springing up to dramatically mime his flailing limbs. Laughter erupted from the group. "I still can't believe we made it just in time," Lena added, brushing wet strands of hair from her face. "Honestly, I thought we'd get caught halfway back." "I kinda loved it," Gina admitted, her eyes shining. "It felt adventurous, like we were in one of those survival shows." Hannah, now bandaged and a little less pale, gave a small smile. "Even with the fall," Gina teased gently. "I'll take the fall over missing that view from the ridge," Hannah replied. "It was worth it." Just then, Darnell stood up, brushing crumbs from his shorts. "Toilet break," he muttered, stretching his arms before heading around the side of the cabin. Mike watched him go, his eyes narrowing slightly. A moment later, he quietly got up and followed. Inside the small, echoing wooden restroom, Darnell was at the sink when Mike pushed open the creaky door behind him. The tension thickened instantly. "What's your problem?" Darnell asked without turning around, his tone half annoyed, half bored. Mike stepped in and let the door swing shut. "My problem? You carrying Hannah like some damn hero back there." Darnell finally turned, frowning. "She was hurt. I helped." "You didn't have to carry her like that," Mike snapped. "You barely know her. And I don't like the way you're always hovering around Gina either." "Are you serious right now?" Darnell crossed his arms. "What? You think you own them?" "No, but I look out for my friends," Mike said firmly, stepping closer. "So here's what I'm saying, stay away from them. Especially Hannah. She doesn't need you playing knight in muddy armor." Darnell's jaw tightened, but he didn't respond right away. The rain tapped rhythmically on the thin metal roof above them as the silence hung between the boys like steam. "I'm not here to mess with anyone," Darnell said finally, voice low. But I'm not backing off either. If they need help, I'll help. Mike's eyes flared for a second. Then he scoffed and backed toward the door. Just know I'm watching. Don't cross that line. With that, he pushed the door open and stepped back out into the misty twilight, leaving Darnell staring at his reflection in the mirror, hands clenched at his sides. Darnell's anger simmered beneath the surface, tightening his chest like a coil ready to snap. He stared at his reflection in the cracked mirror, the harsh fluorescent light casting shadows that made his jaw look sharper, more clenched. Mike's words echoed in his mind, twisting around his pride and sense of loyalty. He wasn't trying to cause trouble. He was only trying to help, not as a friend, but also as a teammate. But now, that intention felt twisted and misunderstood, like he was being punished for simply stepping up. A heavy frustration settled over him, mingling with a prickling sting of loneliness. He clenched his fists tighter, willing himself to stay calm, even as the urge to prove himself burned fiercer than ever. Mike returned to the porch, his face still tight with tension. Gina noticed immediately and glanced up from where she was sitting with the others. "Hey, Mike, what's up? You look like something's bothering you," she asked gently, concern softening her voice. Mike hesitated for a moment, then shook his head. "It's nothing." Ms. Rayner's voice rang out clearly from the porch. "All right, everyone, time for lunch." The students stirred from their cozy clusters, stretching and shaking off the damp chill. "We've got fried rice and hot chicken soup waiting inside. Perfect for this rainy weather," she added with a warm smile. The inviting aroma of the steaming soup drifted through the air, promising comfort and warmth. Excited murmurs spread among the group as they filed inside the cabin, ready to enjoy the hearty meal that felt just right after their adventurous hike and the soft rain outside. After finishing their warm, comforting lunch, the students chatted happily, savoring every bite of the fried rice and hot chicken soup. The cozy cabin filled with laughter and chatter as they relaxed and recharged. "This soup is perfect for this weather," Gina said, sipping carefully. "Yeah, it's like a warm hug in a bowl," Mike agreed, smiling. "Hannah, try some more rice. It's really good," Zoe encouraged, passing the dish. Once everyone had eaten, they slowly made their way back to their rooms, some stretching out on their beds while others whispered quietly with their roommates. Ms. Rayner's voice echoed down the hallway. "All right, everyone, enjoy a 2-hour break to rest or explore nearby. Please be back in the center hall right after for our next activity." 2 hours? That's plenty of time for a nap, Hannah muttered with a relieved smile. "Or maybe a quick walk by the lake," Lena suggested, eyes sparkling. "Just don't get lost again," Mike teased, causing a few chuckles. The students nodded and dispersed. "See you all later," Gina called as she headed out the door. "Don't be late," Ms. Rayner reminded with a gentle smile. Some were eager for a little downtime, others already buzzing with excitement for what was next.